I don't think it's particularly inaccurate to say that most of us probably spend too much time online and browsing social media in general. Almost everything that you see on social media is either mildly amusing at best or incredibly infuriating at worst, but most of what you see is just pointless. Entertainment that without it you would have a perfectly fine day probably, and if nothing else, be a little bit less distracted. But every once in a while you stumble across something that actually compels you to do something, even if that something isn't important, even if it's just for your own entertainment or your own experience of learning things. And I have a bit of a story about how I'm about to do something here on camera based on some inane story that I read on social media weeks ago. So I'm scrolling social media, as you do, and I come across a story about how someone just recently learned that Dr. Pepper, the soft drink, is actually in a category of its own called pepper drinks. That is, it's not a dark tone soft drink like Pepsi or Coke, and it's not clear like 7-Up or Sprite. So it sits in its own personal self-named category of pepper drinks all on its own, or with all of the other knockoffs of Dr. Pepper. Now, this isn't a particularly interesting story. I've known about this fine detail about soft drinks for a long time. What I didn't expect was for someone to comment on this, saying that they thought that Dr. Pepper always just tasted like cherries. I don't know about you, but that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But what was more interesting was the discussion that spiraled out of this particular comment. There were evidently many people who came through and said, yeah, pretty much the same. Dr. Pepper tastes like cherry. And this just doesn't make any sense to me, but these deeper discussions that happen further down into comment sections is really one of the things that I pay the most attention to in regards to social media. I'm not so interested in the attention-grabbing headlines as I am the deeper conversations that happen underneath headlines, or frequently enough, the inane topics that end up getting posted to social media, such as Dr. Pepper actually sits in its own category. So anyway, as I continue to go through this discussion, someone comes up and says, well, if you think that Dr. Pepper tastes like cherry, have I got something for you? You should try a soft drink called Cheerwine. And again, my brain just basically locked up. Why are you bringing up wine in this discussion? But after a little bit of communication back and forth between other individuals who were equally as confused, it became clear that this is actually a soft drink called Cheerwine. The two separate words with no space in between, just Cheerwine, evidently some sort of a cherry-based soda. And learning about this was interesting and mildly entertaining, and I just kind of went about my life. But that strangeness of the name, it stuck in my head. So, over the next week, I couldn't stop thinking about it, and when it came time to do my next grocery run, I paid close attention to the various soda aisles of the local grocery stores that I frequent, finding absolutely nothing. I thought nothing of it again, and another week went by. I checked the soda aisles one more time the next week afterwards, so I'm 2 weeks into this, and I can't find any Cheerwine just on casual investigation. So this has gone on long enough. I'm finally curious enough. I Googled Cheerwine and wind up on the manufacturer's website. Turns out Cheerwine is a locally produced soft drink in North Carolina, and it has been since 1917. Anyways, as I would expect from a small soda distributor in the United States of America, they have an entire section on their website dedicated to figuring out where you might find their beverage. Before finding that section of the website, I initially tried to just find the beverage on Amazon, but I wasn't about to buy a 12-pack of soda for that much money. So I end up using the tool on the website of the manufacturer, only to find out that it's stocked at a local grocery store that is absolutely out of the way. Like, I would have to go over to the other side of the city in order to find this stuff. To which I say, I am not going out of my way. But as the week went on, I had a revelation. I had a doctor's appointment on Thursday, and my physician's office is right nearby one of the grocery stores that's supposed to carry this stuff. So Thursday comes along, I go out to see my practitioner, and then I get myself a bit of breakfast, only to forget that I meant to check out that grocery store, because why would I ever remember something that's 3 weeks cooking at this point? So I just put this thing to the back of my mind again and say, maybe I'll get out there someday. Well, it just so happens to be that the next week I'm on vacation. And then I get COVID. You guys have no idea. I have avoided COVID for 6 years, and then I lose my entire vacation to it. I can't get out of bed on my vacation at all. I'm sick as a dog. Admittedly, I'm vaccinated, but it's still kicking me down pretty bad, so I basically lose my entire vacation and I can only finally stand up and start doing things on my own come Thursday. So I finally, pointedly, pick up, get in the car, and head to the other side of the city to find the grocery store. I spend a grand total of a half hour in this place because it is a big grocery store. I didn't realize it, but this particular chain, my mother, whenever I was young, was always like, we don't go there. We don't go to that place. I think that there were health code violations with the place once upon a time, but it certainly wasn't the case when I walked in this time. It's the type of grocery store where you walk in and there's an entire stand-up freezer completely dedicated to nothing but artisanal cheeses. Way more ritzy than any of the places that I go to. I don't make that type of money. Do like cheese, though. Anyways, I spend roughly a half hour browsing through this enormous grocery store and having a bit of a false positive when I find the soda aisle and I cannot find the Cheerwine anywhere. I've gone through a lot of trouble at this point to try to find this stuff just to find out what on earth I'm tasting. But luckily it turns out on the other end of the grocery store, the last place that I look, they have an entire freezer dedicated to just independently made soft drinks in America. And they have these nice little cardboard cartons where they say, make your own six-pack. So after a month and way too much trouble, I found this stuff at a local grocery store. Cheerwine. This had better be worth it. Well, they're modern. They definitely have a twist off. My sense of smell isn't exactly perfect because I'm technically still not over COVID, but let's find out what this is like. Oh, that is very cherry. I understand why people say that this would taste like Dr. Pepper. Oh my word. That's quite nice. It's quite nice. This was a $2 bottle. I don't know that I would want this all the time, especially at that price point, but I would have to go out of my way for it anyway. Maybe I should buy this every single time I go to see the doctor. It wouldn't keep him away. It would get me back into the grocery store to have more of this stuff. I believe this is supposed to be black cherry. Well, I can't say that this was necessarily worth an entire month of procrastinating and hand-wringing and forgetting and then specifically going out of my way for it, but it's definitely quite pleasant. But here's the thing. Whenever I went out to the grocery store to find this stuff, I made a six-pack and I didn't know if I would like this, so I only grabbed 4 bottles and there were 6 slots inside of that particular, make your own six-pack carton. So it's now 24 hours later, another day. I've showered, I've shaved, I've changed clothes, and I now have, for some reason, a blemish coming in on the tip of my nose, which is absolutely driving me nuts. I don't know why it would come in, but I can only drink so much soda inside of 24 hours before I start to feel sick. I think it's the sugar content. Regardless, I'm not as young as I used to be, pound back like 6 of them in a single hour. But I'm going to try the other thing that I got, which is just a Jones Soda root beer. It seemed a nice idea whenever I grabbed it, and the Jones Soda Company has, well, they're familiar. Another nice twist off. Wait a minute, that says something. Now is all there is. Now is all there. Why are they? That's not even a motivational statement. Let's get on to the drink. That's a root beer, all right. That's a good root beer. Oh, that's an amazing root beer. Oh. I understand why I hear about Jones Soda all the time. Cane sugar. Okay, that makes a bit of a difference. This isn't like sweetened with that trashy high fructose corn syrup that I'm so used to. I grew up with A&W. Sometimes Mug. Never Barks. Barks has caffeine. My parents would not allow that. Oh, man. Oh, that is amazing. Oh, that's so good. Man, if I could have only one type of root beer going forward, it would be Jones Soda at this point. I don't think I've had a better. Wow. I mean, that tiny little wall of custom, small scale soda distribution in the grocery store. Worth it. worth it. I saw a bunch of other stuff on that wall that I wanted to give a shot to, but I decided to just keep it simple, go straight for the Cheerwine, and then just round out with something extra. And the story doesn't end here, and even though you're about to see it, I have to wait until tomorrow to tell you about how roughly 8 months ago my sister moved away out of state. We've lived basically in the same city almost all of our entire lives, but, you know, life goes on, and now she has a reason to live out on one of the coasts, which, you know, just say goodbye to family members. That's just the way that things are. But her move hasn't been completely even across the board, and she had reason to come back and sew up a couple of legal things, which... Incidentally, in the interim, we were discussing things and she ended up coming across the Fallout soda collection at Costco. This is something that I lost whenever she moved away. She had a Costco membership because she lived on the other side of the city where the Costco is located. I'm not about to go out of my way to buy things at Costco only every once in a while and pay for a membership. So that was something that I lost, and I missed out on the Fallout soda opportunity. But when my sister came back to the city, without warning, she showed up on my doorstep with one of these and said, "Hey, here's a gift." I actually removed all of the soda from this box because I didn't want to heft a bevy of liquid beverage while recording this. So I'm basically getting over COVID and getting my sense of smell and taste fully back whenever my sister shows up just before I'm about to record the first part of this video with this bad boy. So I figured, why not give it a shot? And there's no more appropriate place to start than with Sunset Sarsaparilla. I don't think I've ever actually had a sarsaparilla once in my life, and this is going to be a first. I prefer to drink this stuff over Nuka-Cola whenever I played New Vegas, so let's see whether or not the player is the same as the character. Another twist off. No message inside the bottle cap this time, just a QR code. I'm certain that heads out to the Jones Soda Company. All right, here we go. That kind of smells like root beer. That's not root beer. That's closer to cream soda. That's like a really understated cream soda. This doesn't really have a lot of flavor in it. This is more effervescence than it is flavor. Feel like I'm knocking back a brewski here, but it's just okay. It's just okay. I'm a little bit disappointed, actually, because the player does not match the character in this situation. I drank nothing but Sunset Sarsaparilla when I played the game, and now I'm tasting it, and I'm like, not my thing. But hey, that's the way things are. You can't win them all, and we've still got 2 more flavors to try, and the next one is Nuka-Cola Grape, the beverage that I don't think I've seen in any of the Fallout games, and if I have somehow completely forgotten it. What? Don't look at me like that. This isn't a wig. I just have a genetic condition called whir hair. It's specifically a condition where a man who's been suffering male pattern baldness since he was 18 and desperately tried to use hair regrowth products and it didn't work, ends up having a sudden reversal after midnight once he's in his 30s and ends up growing completely different colored hair every single night. No wig here. Okay, here we go. Nuka-Cola Grape. And I'm really curious how this is going to turn out because, again, I don't remember this flavor being in the game. It was probably a thing at some point. I just don't recall it. And I'm going to give a shot to using this handy-dandy bottle cap twist off. Like, this isn't even meant to open a proper bottle that's been sealed shut just to twist off. I don't see this working very well. Let's give it a shot. That doesn't want to grip. That just straight up doesn't want to. Okay, forget this. We'll just go ahead and do it with my hand because why not? That smells very grape. That's pretty good. That is grape soda. That is grape soda. In fact, I think that tastes grape. No, seriously. This is a very good grape soda. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. In fact, I could see myself coming back and enjoying it a little bit more. I don't think that it's like something standalone and amazing. Like, you'd be perfectly fine with finding any other generic grape soda out in a grocery store. I'm pretty certain that Jones Soda specifically uses nothing but pure cane sugar. What is this? Crafted for the post-nuclear future by Jones Soda Company. Okay. I don't think that they use any artificial sweeteners. I think it's all pure cane sugar on this stuff. if I had to make a guess, but I don't know for certain. Turns out there's nothing else in the bottle cap either, but you know what? Far and away, much better than the sarsaparilla. Much better than the sarsaparilla. But we have one final beverage to drink, and that's going to be Nuka-Cola Quantum. Twice the calories, twice the carbohydrates, twice the caffeine, and twice the flavor. And yes, it is another day. I have grown a completely different set of hair, and my shirt is different. You can also tell that it's a different day because it's no longer night outside, and my background is way overlit. I am a true professional YouTuber. Okay, if I'm being completely honest, I don't know what to expect out of this flavor-wise, but also I treated them as collectibles in the video game, so I never really drank them. I preferred to collect them up and give them to Sierra Petrovita in Girder's Shade for blueprints. Yeah, the blueprints for Nuka grenades, and I used them as a crafting component. I never drank these in the game, and if I ever did, it was a mistake. So, well, let's find out what on earth, flavor-wise, we are in for. Kind of a berry smell. Kind of a berry smell. I'm kind of getting a Baja Blast Mountain Dew flavor from this. Now, obviously, again, I think Jones Soda does all cane sugar, none of the high fructose corn syrup. What is this? Berry lemonade soda. That would explain. Okay, berry lemonade. So, not bad. In fact, might be my favorite. The grape soda was fine. The grape Nuka was perfectly fine, but sarsaparilla, really not my flavor. This is great. Although it doesn't pass up the quality of just Jones Soda root beer. By far, the best so far. Well, by word, I'm definitely going to drink the rest of this and enjoy it every single step of the way. This is going to be something that I take time and I sip and I really enjoy the flavor because, well, that's just darn good. That's just straight up good. Okay, everyone, thanks so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed my little story about going out of my way to get Cheerwine, picking up a different beverage in the process, and then ending up with all of the Fallout sodas in my house at the same time, all while procrastinating, avoiding, and getting sick in the process. Also, if you liked watching videos like this, please do say so down in the comments. After all, YouTube loves it whenever interaction happens. But until next time, thank you so much for watching and listening. I am William Strife, and maybe we'll come back and do something similar like this. Also, you can tell that I did this over several days because my beard kept growing. I started off having to be shaved, and then it all came back in. I'll see you next time. Bye. Wow.